Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Tuesday edition of the show live from Indianapolis as Cody dons his new and snazzy Texas Beef Traders hat. So pumped to be here with you. We do not have any Longhorns participating in athletic testing or drills or measurements today. We'll start to get that stuff tomorrow. But a bunch of stuff to get to today as far as fallout from here in the combine, some things that we're sort of hearing. A couple things we'll have to hold for the war room, Cody, I think. But definitely just a bunch to get to. How are you, brother?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, we picked up just short of a 20-piece chicken nugget today for the war room. So we'll see what happens with that.
We still have a few days to go.
Still a few days to go. So you want to be over there on Orange Bloods, tapped in. You want to tap into the show all week as we'll continue to spill them out and talk about them through the pre-draft process for these Texas Longhorns and for some guys that are still on campus and they're going to be on campus next year. But doing good. It was a long first day. The first day is always a little tough on the heels, a little tough on the back. And then tomorrow we'll start cooking as we get these defensive linemen coming into the building.
Yeah, man. I used to like for the combine for me, it used to be it was like this was the main today used to be the main thing that I loved the most.
Yeah.
Right. It was kind of getting to address all the coaches and the GMs. We heard some interesting stuff today about Tashard Choice with the Lions, about Jatavion Sanders, some other stuff like that. Right. But as I've, this is my 14th year here at the combine. As you see this,
Didn't you 13? 14 at the Senior Bowl, 13 here, right? You missed 1 year, right?
Well, everybody. Okay, so 13, but everybody missed 2020 because of the.
Okay, so technically 13.
Yeah, right. The cockamamie COVID restrictions. But yeah, it's like look at this.
They think we're in. They think
football with friends is floral as hell today.
They think we're in. Alan McAdis is we're in the lobby of a Holiday Inn. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Okay. Well, hey man, we're here to have fun. No real topics or anything that we have lined up, but just a bunch to get to. I think we can also talk a little bit about Javian Osborne. I think that is something where. I think we can kind of tap the brakes on a little bit of some of the panic about that. We'll talk about some of that regarding a conversation that I had last night. But what the thumbnail is what did you make it? It was Felix Ojo and Oklahoma trying to come steal him away.
Yeah, so I did my Behind the Enemy Lines column this week, a little bit different because we're combine week. I was traveling and stuff, so a little bit different layout, I guess you'd say. And the only team that I actually went Behind the Enemy Lines on was Oklahoma because, well, to be quite frank, A&M's, the site sucks anyways, and it's all baseball and basketball crap, so I want to stick to football. And the Oklahoma side of things, they brought up Felix Ojo. And this is a week after my column last week brought up in the A&M side, turning the attention, again, remember from Jackson Cantwell and Emmanuel Inacho, the two top tackles in the country, to their attention at A&M was shifted towards Zayden Krempin and John Turntine. Now this week, you fast forward a week, and all of a sudden there's this kind of rush in. They've been keeping tabs on Felix Ojo, Oklahoma has, and they're actually going to get one of his officials. But that now Oklahoma is making a push on Felix Ojo, and the report from over there said, I can confirm that Felix Ojo, who is from Mansfield, Texas, Lake Ridge, will be at the Oklahoma Champ U Barbecue, which is some cockamamie title that they put on there, like Texas's pool party type of situation. They call it the Champ U Barbecue. I don't know what they're champs of, but anyway. And what they wrote in here was, look, I still think it comes down to Ohio State and Texas right now, but it's worth noting that this time 1 year ago, everybody, including us, which is the Oklahoma site, OU Insider, thought that Michael Fasusi was a Longhorn, and OU didn't even get Michael Fasusi in for the Champ U Barbecue. He went to Texas that weekend instead. So, yeah, there's a chance. If nothing else, there's a chance. That's from the Oklahoma side. Again, they got Fasusi, and they have a reason to be arrogant about that. What do you take from that specific thing? They seem to be weighing pretty heavily on this Oklahoma
Are we?
barbecue. Like, do
Okay.
you believe, like, I mean, Ojo can play right tackle, but he's much more fluid left. Like, they got Fasusi. Is there really a sell point to Ojo?
I have a couple of thoughts about this. First of all,
What the hell?
Champ U barbecue. I don't know what it is, but they do talk about it as if as if it's something that's a big recruiting of. You got some of that Chad Hastings, Deep Eddy. Yeah, man. Some of the Deep Eddy. What is that? The ruby red vodka here.
Deep grapefruit.
Oh,
We don't just. I mean, this isn't even a sponsor of our show. This is a sponsor of
yeah.
the House Divided. But for any of you guys out there looking to sponsor the show, we don't mess around. Everybody at the company uses everybody's sponsorship.
Yeah,
they go out and eat there
for sure. I'm not entirely sure what the significance of the Champ U barbecue is, or saying, well, Fasusi wasn't even at Champ U barbecue and we still got
like
him.
it's this big draw.
So it's like, that's kind of interesting to me. It's like, whatever, Oklahoma's going to do what Oklahoma's going to do. Are you starting to maybe feel like Felix? And I really don't want to do this because it's going to make me sound like.
Please don't. Don't do it. I know what you're going to say. Don't do it.
How do you compare Felix Ojo to Mike Fasusi right now?
I think Fasusi is much more of a Banks. Like Fasusi was and let me get it out first. So I think Fasusi was much more of a Banks, like as far as you can expect this guy to come in and definitely play day one, start left tackle. Not as high a level as you get out of Banks. Whereas I think Felix still has some weight to gain. And again, we're still a year out from that even being a year and a half out from that even being a potential.
Right.
But I think from a Felix projected right now, February 25th, 2025, for my projection going forward to August of 2026 would be that he needs to put on 20 to 30 pounds before I get to that point. But I think that the projection of Felix Ojo is better than it is of a Michael Fasusi where he was this year. I think Ojo's better projecting. We still got a year to see what happens. I think Ojo's better, though.
I do too.
I hope that all made sense.
And so my point here is you have Oklahoma, who has a football coach in Brent Venables who
is going to be jobless.
They don't exactly have an easy schedule next season. Yep. Can we just pull up Oklahoma's schedule? Like, I'm just gonna pull up Oklahoma's schedule here and just look at it and say, okay, what are the outs here for Venables? I know that I can't. You didn't see this pop up on Orange Bloods the other day, did you? You must have completely missed. This wasn't a pinned post, but this was on Orange Bloods that there was somebody from the Oklahoman that projected Oklahoma to go 8-4 this year with some big wins, like starting the season out undefeated going into Texas. Okay, so they start out with Illinois State, then they have to go to no. And then Michigan comes to them, and then they have to go to Temple. Then they have Norman in Norman. They have Auburn. In
State.
They could go undefeated coming into. I mean,
Michigan
Kent
and Auburn.
State.
They just count
what do
Michigan and Auburn's wins?
What do we know? What do we really know about? What do we know about Auburn right now?
That they've spent a piss load of money,
and they know everything you.
And they've had back-to-back top 10 recruiting classes.
I just don't. Dude, I'm not going to do this thing where I don't think that Brent Venables knows exactly what to do to make that quarterback look like he's seeing ghosts.
Who do they have in Oklahoma that could stop Cam Coleman?
Well, because Bowman and stuff is gone, and look,
Dason McCullough left.
Yeah, I don't feel, dude. But since when are we at the spot where it's like Auburn's this steamroller?
Auburn's coming.
Okay, man.
Back-to-back top 10 classes.
I got it.
They got Jackson Arnold.
It's the Michigan thing. Michigan is just so much of a better, like, it's just they're a better program right now. I think recruited well. And so I think they could be. I think Oklahoma could. I mean, if they're playing Illinois State, home of James Robinson, the Redbirds, Michigan, which is they're going to lose. Temple, which they'll win. Auburn, which might be dude. It's like it's a toss up. We're talking about a game
that'll be a good night game.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, that would. Gosh, I can't wait for football to be
Jackson
back.
Arnold going back to Norman.
Going back.
That's a 7 p.m. kick right there.
Yeah, yes. And then they have Kent State. They're going to win that. Like they can easily come into this thing with one loss. Absolutely.
No, the Oklahoman guy said they were undefeated going into October 11th.
Okay, well, I don't think undefeated. Well, I don't think it's completely out of the realm of the possibility that they do. But then look at what their stretch is starting at Texas. Texas at the Cotton Bowl. At South Carolina. So you go at, Lenore Sellers and one of the teams that we've talked about that we're just like is set to really make a big move up. I forgot where they were in the, in
they
the projected.
Up to like 12.
Yep. Then they have to go. Then they have to host Ole Miss. Then they have to go to Tennessee.
Yep. Gauntlet right here. This is a gauntlet.
And then they have to go to Alabama. Yep. And then it doesn't really let up at all because then they host Missouri, which is not. I don't think that'll be anything super easy. They got Prbula, and then they have to host LSU.
LSU is going to be a top 6 ranked team at that point.
So it's like, look at Venables. He's probably going to get fired. I would say he's probably one of the, certainly as we look at SEC coaches, who is more likely to get. I mean, you think about the bottom feeder programs, and like no one's going to fire Levy yet.
Levy's not getting fired.
Stoops
is a 6-6 season away from getting let go. He's been there longer than everybody else, but I think he is a 6-6 season away if he does it again.
Hugh Freeze could get fired.
Nah, I don't think so.
He could.
I mean, it would have to be bad. It would have to be bad.
Well, I could see it. I could see it going bad. We've seen Jackson Arnold go bad.
That's fair,
right? And then you have
I think Billy is pretty safe.
Oh, dude. Yeah, dude, he's told yes. They're going to be good this year. Florida. So it's like if you're going to be keeping up with the Joneses in the SEC from a coaching perspective, are you kidding? Like, so
Arkansas, Sam Pittman.
Pittman could easily get fired.
Pittman's probably the bottom feeder, right?
Yeah, Pittman could easily get fired.
Let me read you. You just walked through all the games. Give me a prediction just based on everything you just read. You go like 5 and.
I think they'll have one loss coming to Texas. They'll lose to Texas, so 2 losses. They'll lose to South Carolina. They'll lose to Ole Miss. They'll lose to Tennessee. They'll lose to Alabama. They'll beat Missouri at home. They'll lose to LSU.
So that's like 7 losses. So this is from the Oklahoman. They reported it in the Sooner Wire, but this is from the Oklahoman. The writer from the Oklahoman wrote this. All right. OU, Illinois State, win by 42. Against Michigan, Oklahoma, win 23-20. Temple, win 55-9. Auburn, Oklahoma wins 28-17.
Okay.
70-7 against Kent State.
7.
They got Texas and Dallas. 34-19 Texas. OU at South Carolina. South Carolina 31-21.
Yep.
OU versus Ole Miss. OU 24, Ole Miss 23.
Okay, so they're
OU Tennessee at Tennessee. OU 35, Tennessee 31. OU at Alabama.
What did they just?
Alabama 28-20.
They're baking all this in whenever they don't know. Like they don't know material from Adam. They probably wouldn't even recognize him if he walked in the bar.
They wrote 8 and 4 down. That was their prediction.
But let's make sure we're not missing any kind of just super chats or anything like that. I don't want to miss those. So there's the whole point of this is that Venables you have 2 things. All right. You have the one thing is like Venables on the hot seat. Oklahoma's down right now. Who knows what the coaching staff's going to be like if he does get fired? Who knows what's going to happen with all of it? Like anytime you introduce that kind of uncertainty, you're going to have it's going to be a situation where you as a recruit, as a prospect, you know, like who knows what this new coach, and especially with NIL and stuff, who knows how they're going to value you? What, like, if you're not part of their regime, all the rest of it. And the other thing is they have Fasusi. And listen to this. If you're a Texas fan, are you telling me that Texas is going to go 2 cycles losing their top
tackle
option to
in the state,
to completely floundering and just
how colossal of a failure would that be?
Just to an Oklahoma team that just has like nothing to offer. You know, I know Bedenbaugh is a great coach, but who knows if he would be there if there was no Venables. Like I've said before, I think probably the new coaching staff would do their best to keep him on board. And so maybe that could be part of the pitch. But how can you make part of your pitch if you're the offensive line coach? Look, I'm going to be here even if this dude gets fired. It's like, come on. Like that doesn't draw on any program stability. So it's just such a different thing to equate all of this to saying, well, they're behind on Felix Ojo right now, but they were behind on Fasusi at this point last year. Things could turn out the same way for Fasusi. I mean, or things could turn out the same way for Ojo. It's like, well, I mean, maybe, but the circumstances are vastly different. In a lot of ways, because of Fasusi. Ojo comes to Texas, and he has basically maybe not another year of Trevor Gooseby to worry about, maybe one more year.
Well, I mean, I may have reported in the War Room last week that I talked to somebody that was already asking about Gooseby for next year's draft.
Somebody was asking us today.
Yeah. Two different people now in the last week have asked about Gooseby, and the one last week told me that when I put out my way too early mock the week after the NFL draft, Gooseby is going to be in the first round. And like, you look at Gooseby, he's 6'8", he's going to have super long arms. The NFL is going to love his length, and if he does what he did last year, even just baseline what he did, he's got first-round ability. And you look at the offensive line of Texas, and it's like, well, the door's open for Ojo. Like Nick Brooks is who we're projecting to be the backup left tackle right now. And Nick Brooks is a massive human that has to go through a little bit of a body transformation, I think, to get to the point where they can depend on him at either left or right. Baker's competing for the right, of course. It's
wouldn't Brooks be
better at right? Of course.
I know that we think he's probably fine at left.
I think he's more of a Cam than anything.
I've always said he's a right tackle.
I think they're just trying to cross train him, to be honest with you.
Or it's just purely out of necessity. They don't want to put Kojo at left.
Yeah. Well, who else are you going to put at left? You got to put Baker there and then make Brooks and Kojo compete for right?
You can't do that.
You can't.
So
I think in an ideal world, though, if you hit on Fasusi, you probably put Gooseby at right and you let Fasusi play left, right?
Yes.
And then you let Baker play left behind Fasusi.
Yeah, or
something like this.
And so the math works out to where Ojo at a place like Texas, not only is there stability, not only do you know what the NIL structure is going to be right from the start, not only have they told you right from the start, even at a point in time whenever cockamamie idiots like me were questioning, it's like, gosh, you're making that guy your number one target whenever you got Turrentine out there. You know, even through the midst of all that, they were saying, no, you're our number one guy. You're our guy. You're our guy. Obviously, we've seen in the case of like JV and Osborne, it's important for these guys to hear that. And for these guys, and for that messaging, not only to be heard, but in his case specifically, for there to be follow-up actually from the staff that really shows that that's the case. From all we've seen with Ojo, is like, I love Texas. Like, I love Flood. Like, he says, I'm the number one guy and all this. And now all of a sudden, a couple of new sets of rankings have come out to where now everyone's got, starting to look at Ojo as a 5-star, and he's gone to these camps. And
how flawed is your process got to be to move a guy like Ojo? Okay, how flawed does your process have to be as an evaluator or a grader or a ranker to have a Felix Ojo outside your top 200 as a prospect? When you just see this guy, if you've ever seen the guy, film or in person, outside your top 200 nationally, and Osborne outside your top 150 nationally, and then simultaneously move them or no, kind of the inverse.
Yeah.
So Ojo's case into the top 10, Osborne's case out of the top 100.
The whole thing with Osborne that happened, and was that on 3?
Yeah, that was the both of them. Was the Ojo up and the Osborne
Can
down.
we just talk about that then?
Before we go to running back though, can I finish this tackle thing? I want one last thought here. So last week I talked about the A&M focus on Turntine and Krempin. Michigan has made a push on Krempin, Zayden Krempin, the left tackle out of Prosper. That can be looked at as a guard too. And now Oklahoma with Ojo.
No, I like Krempin as a tackle.
But I'm just saying, okay, so let me finish this thought here. So Turntine, Krempin, and Ojo. We've talked on multiple shows. The other guys have talked on multiple shows. We've talked on the board about the possibility, kind of like the receiving group last year, and can you get a Lockett, a French, and a DeCorian Moore? Can you get all 3? Is that possible? No, obviously it didn't happen. But the thought was there, right? So the thought is there with Ojo, and Krempin's on a 5-star, but Ojo, Turntine, and Krempin. And now just a couple weeks later, A&M's got a sole focus on Turntine. Oklahoma's got to focus on Ojo. Krempin's heard from A&M and Michigan heavily. Also, you can add into Ojo. Ohio State's one of the top 2 teams next to Texas as well. What would be your overarching thought if we got to October and the helium was Ojo's Oklahoma, Turntine's A&M, and Krempin is Michigan, and Texas is the leader for none?
That's not going to happen.
That's just say that's not going to happen.
No, it can't. Well, for one, it can't happen. For 2, it's not going to happen.
Can't happen. Why? Monetarily?
No. Like I think that would just Texas is in great position right now with Krempin and with Ojo. I think so too. If I had to put money on it, I would put money on Texas right now. Like I think I would put even money odds on both those guys.
I think so too, but I just wanted to ask the question in that context because of the things we've heard.
It would be an unmitigated and complete disaster.
Yeah.
For you to have to go to another class of like Coleman twins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't do it. Nothing against the Coleman brothers, but like you got to get your main targets, man. You can't just say it's like, oh, we're gonna wait for next year. You know, we lost Susie Word for next year for Turntine. Then it turns out it's not Turntine, it's Ojo. But you know, you got to get him. You got to get him. You got to get some beef jerky from Texas Beef Traders. Like we have some here. Look. So this is what the package looks like. This is the hot honey. You can see on there. It's co-branded. We're all right with us. Football with Friends, Texas Beef Traders. Just a delicious beef jerky. The reason why I'm so glad that we have this here with us this week is because a lot of the food that they serve in the media room at the Combine is like sludge that's made for some of these, for some of these disgusting journos. Look at this piece. Look at that piece of dehydrated sirloin there with the hot honey.
Look at how thick that is right there.
You can eat this for a meal if you want to. It's absolutely delicious. The hot honey's my favorite flavor. We have the Cowboy blend. We have the jalapeno garlic, and we have the Texas Cowboy blend. And we're about to have more stuff for you guys as far as the products at Texas Beef Traders. The one that I've been most excited about, and the one that is going to be just like a smash seller. You guys are going to absolutely love it. We're working on the mock-ups for the packaging of it and stuff right now. We're going to have it real soon for grilling season. Y'all are going to love it. But in the meantime, make sure to go to Texas Beef Traders, texasbeeftraders.com. Get your 10% off there. It's the best meat shop in all of Texas. 3 different ranches: Wagyu, Piedmontese, and certified Angus. Some of these herds are 2,500 years old. There's no vaccines in these herds. There's no antibiotics. There's no nothing. It's just good, clean protein, delicious beef. And if you call Texas Beef Traders, get your 10% off. If you live in the Austin area, Darren will bring it to your house. He'll just bring it to you. Texas Beef Traders, texasbeeftraders.com.
Hey, Alex, while we're paying bills, I just want to say one thing. Poncho.
Yeah.
This is a shirt.
That's a shirt, man.
You just got this one. I know you did because I haven't seen you wear it before.
Yeah, this is a great looking shirt. And
on our other show, Roster Watch, we were talking about the NFL Combine because that's where we're here.
Yeah.
There was an alpha today wearing a poncho.
Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the New England Patriots.
It's just, dude, poncho's taking over, man. It's just they are the best shirts. And I'll also say this: I used my little what is this thing? Like a little lens cloth that's built in here for when you're fishing and stuff like that. I used that earlier before the Roster Watch show to clean off the camera here because it was a little bit foggy, a little bit cloudy. You never know when you're going to need it, man. You can wear this thing to the convention center in Indy. It's nice and warm, but it's breathable enough to where you don't have to, you don't have to worry about it when you're back at the house. Super, super comfortable. And you can also wear this is one of the denim ones. You can wear this out fishing. You can like Poncho Outdoors, man. Such great sponsors. Thanks to those guys. All right. Tashard Choice was a little bit of a conversation today because we had the Detroit Lions. Do you guys in the chat have questions about the players and stuff? We're not going to have any stuff about the players until
tomorrow will be D-line and so on and so forth after that.
Okay. So I saw some questions that people had in here about some stuff. I wasn't sure.
We had some questions earlier. Let's see here. So they had Quinn oblique was torn. That was essentially answered during the year, I think, from Anwar.
But it also goes to show what you said, Cody, throughout the year. Whenever he was throwing to his right, anything over 12 yards to the wide side of the field, horrible. It was no good. And we're gonna get to see Quinn. He's going to throw. All the reports are that he'll throw, and so we'll see. It's like this quarterback draft class is super weird. Talked to somebody today that's in the scouting world that thinks he's going to go round 3, and I don't know if that'll hold or whether he can do anything this week to kind of give him some helium. But Quinn throwing against air is always super pretty.
Well, we know that. First off, right? You're going to see the pro day in a couple months in late March or whatever. But, I mean, the report is that he's healthy now. He's been working with Christensen, the quarterback coach who worked with Brady. And he's been working with McCarthy on the board. He's at 215 pounds, which obviously, remember, he was 220. He got way down after he cut his hair.
Yeah.
And then bumped back up now. I think he's going to come out, Alex, and I'll be honest with you. We talked about this in the Roster Watch show, and I haven't talked to you about this since. We talked about that specific thing with Sanders and Ward, potentially Cam Ward from Miami, Shedeur Sanders from Colorado, potentially not throwing. They're not throwing.
And now we know that, yep.
And I believe what that does is it kicks this door down that allows Jackson Dart to peek around the corner and Quinn Ewers to peek around the corner. And even a Milroe who can run and actually has a little bit of a hose to peek around the corner. And Quinn, healthy oblique.
Tyler Shuck.
Yeah. But Quinn specifically, since we're talking Longhorns, healthy oblique, 215 pounds, great on air, strong arm in situations. I know Texas fans, well, you don't have a strong arm downfield. But here's the deal. Even Anthony Richardson, who throws missiles, what was his biggest throw a couple years ago? It was a lofted rainbow ball down the right sideline to Adnai, I think. Adnai or not Adnai. Who the hell was it? Doesn't matter who it was.
I was going to say, why couldn't they do that during the season? It was always Alec Pierce.
But it was, But no, I'm talking about at the combine.
I know, but it was still on the same field.
Yeah, that's where my brain was at. But more so my point here is Quinn, I mean, this situation for Quinn is right here. Like, it's 4 days away. It's go out on that turf and have the best day you've had since that Michigan game. And I think that you can change a lot of minds.
Yeah, man. And it's his setting, right? This is his setting. This is what Quinn look. Man, we were talking with somebody today, and they were just like, some of the stuff with Quinn, I would just go look back at the 2023 tape. They felt he was so hindered this year by whatever it was, and we're getting the reports, and clearly some of this stuff is coming from the agent. It doesn't come out on the first day of the combine when all the media gets here. The reporting from everybody that, oh, by the way, Quinn Ewers, he played with it was actually not a strained oblique, it was a torn oblique, and he played through it the whole season, and all like there was like I'm not trying to give the game away to anybody or just like say that this. But I mean, just
Perfectly timed. 8 a.m.
Think
8
about
release.
it. Think about it. All these different reporters come out with it at the same time. Who does that come from? It comes from the agent, right? They're trying to present a narrative. And so, if you think about the fact that there are scouts that say like they kind of knew it, and so they've been looking at the 2023 film. Well, there are some. I think that some of the best you've seen of Quinn Ewers is 2023 film, right? Oklahoma State, 2023. Alabama, some of the throws versus Alabama, 2023. It's like, who's to say if that hasn't been sort of front of mind for a certain group of important scouts, that they would be leaning more toward that tape, and then it gets followed up with, all right, well, Cam Moore's not throwing, Shedeur Sanders not throwing. It's like, who's to say that? I mean, Quinn could look like the best quarterback here.
Yep.
And so you take all those things, you put it together, all of a sudden you can put this stew together in your mind to say, it's like, oh, well, all right. It's like, man, are we undervaluing Quinn Ewers? This was the top prospect in the whole nation. He did take his team back to back-to-back CFPs. He gritted it out through injury. He played through it. And then, but on the other side of the coin, you say, well, why is he always injured?
The good thing is you can't get injured at the combine.
Yeah.
They can go in and they can dig and they can look at you and they can do the testing that we don't even hear about for multiple weeks. But here's the thing. If he's healthy enough today or this week to throw, I think you can say, and I think you would say, and I would say, he has the most arm talent on the field out of all those quarterbacks.
The remaining ones?
He has more arm talent than Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, I think, is a better quarterback, a better pocket presence, understander, a better structural quarterback. Milroe is a different type of thing.
What about McCord? Probably better.
I think he's a better ball spinner than McCord.
McCord's kind of good.
I think he's a better overall ball spinner. I think that there's a possibility for him to show that. And I think that what I come back to is I remember listening to Todd McShay earlier this year, like maybe a month ago, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, and he was talking about the quarterbacks, and he just gets to the point with Quinn, and he's a guy that was leading the Jackson Dart QB2 conversation just a month ago. But with Quinn, it's like he makes some throws that you're just like, what? How? What? Like rolling left.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing that.
Or like the Matthew Golden.
Like this thing right here to
right.
Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
And you're like, how's that ball get there? How's that ball perfectly get
It's a great play by Golden, but it's also just like, how did Quinn know just to put it in that spot?
But Golden can't make that play if the ball's not there.
Yeah. Well, right.
So it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like with the ball talent thing, I think that there's a possibility on Saturday that we see. Now, we could be completely off here, right? Quinn could go and.
I don't think he will either. Yeah, he always looks good in these.
I think he's prepared for it.
Yeah, so we'll see. So we could see. We talked about it before. And Cody, maybe you can explain why it's like I think Milroe will come out of this thing
because he's going to run hella fast.
Like people are just gonna.
You remember how
it'll be for him. It'll be out of sight, out of mind as far as that whole Senior Bowl thing. Whatever. Forget about all that. This dude weighs 220 pounds. He just blazed a 4.38. What's the worst that can happen with bringing in this guy? Some kind of developmental quarterback.
Anthony Richardson.
Well, but the difference between him and Anthony Richardson is I don't know. I've been around enough drafts to know that anything and everything can happen, but I've also been around enough drafts to know that when you follow it as closely as we do, there's Jalen Milroe is not going to go top 4. It's different. right?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Let me ask you this.
It's different when we compare him. And also, he's not going to – he's as athletic as Milroe might test. He's not going to test as a top, top 4 or 5 athlete to ever – or the top athlete at the quarterback position to ever test at the combine.
He could run the fastest 40 of any quarterback of all time.
But as far as far as the overall testing with the verticals and the
I don't know what he's going to jump, but if he can run that fast, if he runs a 4.35, I don't know what he can jump. He must jump 40.
If he goes 4.35 and jumps 40, then
this is the problem here. This is what I'm asking you: is the trait, the special trait. Everyone says it's the rushing. The rushing is tier 1. I think it's tier 2, and I think Lamar is tier 1. We saw Lamar's 1,600-yard season Heisman. That's tier 1 rushing ability. That's the Tyreek Hill thing that is just it's so rare. People are going to say Milroe does have special attribute. His special trait is his rushing, but it is not Lamar Jackson level. Yeah. So when they say
it isn't even Jaden Daniels.
It's not. You're right. It's not. And when they say it's tier 1, I don't think it is. And so here's my question. What is the trait that's different between him and Anthony Richardson? Richardson has a cannon, but it's not, it's a fire hose attached to a fire hydrant outside that there's one man manning, right? And it just, firefighters need to have like 8 dudes on that line. It's one dude and it's just wham, wham, coming out 200 miles an hour. That's what Richardson is. I think Milroe is even a little more contained than that in his
I don't know whether it's just like the lesson learned from Richardson is he's not going to go in the top 10.
I don't think he will either. But I remember walking out of that stadium when Richardson did what he did, and you said, "How is he not the number 1 pick?" And we bit right into it. We fell right for it. And we knew he wasn't a good pocket passer. We knew he wasn't a conductor of an offense.
We knew he wasn't a winner.
We knew he had 1 year under the bag. We knew going into that combine that we said he should go back to school.
You can really let this thing get in your head, man. You can really let this event get in your head. And maybe that's just – but I don't see it. Whenever you invoke Anthony Richardson, when we talk about Milroe, the reason why I just push back against it is I don't see any way that he's going to be like anybody's going to say it's in any way okay to expend that kind of draft capital. And maybe it just has to do with the bias that we have, whatever that, I forget what that heuristic is for the bias for, it's not recency bias, but it's the bias for things that are similar to one another. Right?
Well, I think it's like the Richardson thing is like we haven't seen something like Cam Newton, and then Richardson came along, and you're like, well, that's the closest thing to Cam Newton that we've seen. And now with Milroe, you see what Jaden Daniels did last year, and you see what Lamar has done. And I think the NFL is saying he ain't close as a passer. And I think Lamar, well, obviously wasn't a good passer, great passer coming up. He's grown, but Daniels was such a dominant passer last year and such a dominantly efficient pocket passer with the rushing that it makes Milroe's stock fall deeper because the traits just aren't there in comparison.
We got about, golly, man, creeping up towards like 500 people here between X and YouTube. So thanks to everybody for being here. We certainly appreciate all you guys. It's a little bit of a different schedule this week. And to be honest, we don't know exactly what the schedule is going to be because every day is a little bit different here at the Combine. I think tomorrow will probably – is tomorrow going to be again where we're going to try and do it maybe an hour, like 6 p.m. our time in Indy, but 1 hour earlier here on the YouTube for Texas time. Is that what it's looking like, or is that
our GM stuff ends at 2:00? Our player stuff tomorrow. We have Alfred Collins at 10 a.m. Looks like we have players first. So actually, yeah, we'll probably go early again tomorrow.
Okay, so probably will be tomorrow. We'll just say tomorrow it'll be again 5 p.m. Central. But then once we have to start going to the actual workouts on Thursday, that will probably push it back to the normal time. But we're going to keep you guys updated with all of that. All right. Quickly before we get out, also maybe these shows here at the Combine, we're going to try and just pack them in and get in, get out. But I did want to just say about Javian Osborne. We'll have more about this in the war room. But I don't think that it's necessarily complete panic time like we were talking about last week.
I don't think so. I do think the Xavier Crowell situation has shifted. I think that Crowell, who obviously made his voice known day one when Tashard Joyce left, has since obviously jumped back on the official visit train. He's since tweeted out at Chad Scott, the coach, the running back coach, positively. Seems like he's had some good conversation with Chad Scott. We know it sounds like Javian Osborne was probably the top back on the board when Choice was there. Things change. Running back coaches see things differently. We still, I view Javian. I don't know about you. I view Javian Osborne as the top running back in the class. But
I view him as top in the country.
Yes. And I think that things potentially change. I think we all just need to be open to seeing how things unfold the next couple of days and weeks as we approach, spring ball starting up here in, I think, a month from today or something like this. And when those visits happen, we'll see what happens. I think KJ Edwards, Javian Osborne, Xavier Crowell, there's a couple other guys that are in the conversation. Nonetheless, it's going to be good. We're going to have some good nuggets for you in the war room.
I'm just saying. Look, man, it felt like things for just one night there got kind of a little bit sideways and cockamamie. It feels like cooler heads prevailed.
Yes,
and I'm not particularly worried about the whole Javian Osborne thing now. I think it was just kind of what you would expect to be a normal kind of tap the brakes a tiny bit because there's a new running backs coach. That's all that it is right now. There's any other things that are associated with that about how it was handled by the staff or whatever, I feel like have been corrected for at this point.
Here's the thing. 10 months. 10 months still. These guys sign.
Yeah, we have Jay Wags 25 saying Jason still thinks he's going to be he's like he's going to come into a practice in the spring.
Yep.
And like he's going to think it's fine. He's going to still visit, I think, in June. Okay. The other thing was just speaking of the running backs, the running backs. So we have Money B asking if we talked about Akina. Did we talk about Akina?
We did not.
We've talked about
talked about him. We've talked about him.
Yeah. Dude, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I think I read a stat today that Dwayne Akina has more first-round defensive backs drafted than the entire LSU program. And that's the thing, dude. If you watch some of the videos of him that have been put out by the Arizona football, kind of their media department and stuff, dude, he still acts like Akina. He's old. How old is he? 68? Look it up here. Dwayne Akina. He is born October 22nd, 1965.
He'll be 69 the week after Oklahoma.
Okay. So turning 69 the week after. But here's the thing, dude. In this day and age, 69 is still a young buck, depending on how you act. I have guys at my hunting lease that are like 69. They're still hard dudes, man. Like, do you know what I mean? So I think it's fine. Just what he's done at Texas, and you got to figure probably this would be one where he could settle in for it to be his kind of. I mean, as much as we say it's like, he's still got a little bit of juice. Probably this is the one where you settle in. You say, I know Sark's going to be. He's been extended for the next 5 years. Like probably around then I'll be 74. That I could retire.
You think this is potentially better for recruiting? Like Joseph. Let's just put it this way. Terry Joseph, you look at the career accomplishments as far as the recruits he's bred in the last couple of years, speaks for itself. But do you think of Dwayne Akina now that can say, I'll be here for the next 5 years, and they can look at him and go, yeah, you're old as hell. You're not going to go anywhere. Like Joseph is like, he's probably going to be a DC. He may get an opportunity to be a coach. He's got family ties to Vance Joseph. Well, you can see how this thing is going to unfold. DBs in recruiting could look at that from a different perspective, whereas with Akina, they could say, this guy's here for the next till he's done.
Which Akina Exactly, which brings us full circle to what I asked Dan Campbell today at the podium. I know that you talked with
Brad Holmes.
Yeah, Lions GM Brad Holmes. I talked to Lions head coach Dan Campbell today, just asking about Tashard Choice and what went into that whole thing. And and I actually asked Dan Campbell if, like, he's an Aggie. I'm like, did it feel extra good stealing that dude from the Longhorns? He said, stealing. I would. He's like, I wouldn't say it quite like that, but he just said, look, man, I didn't think we were going to be able to get that thing done, because he's one of the most sought after running backs coaches and all the nation. Tried to get him 2 years ago, couldn't make it happen. Now with his staff getting completely blown up, with Ben Johnson as offensive coordinator going to the Bears, and with Aaron Glenn as defensive coordinator going to the Jets, those guys all took assistants with them. They've had to fill tens of roles within their coordinator and their assistant coaching jobs. And they, if you just listen to him, like, he wasn't sure he was going to be able to get Choice away from Texas, which to me, he just said he's one of the most coveted running backs coaches in all of football, which to me says, look, if Texas didn't lose him to the Lions, they were going to lose him. They were going to lose him next. Yeah. They're going to lose him at some point. It's the sign of a healthy program. Looks like we got a super chat here. Who do we got?
Money B.
Money B. Thank you, brother. Get a brew on me. Excited to see the former DBs around the program, and Orfe to learn from McKenna. Development is finest. Jonah, Manny, Taft, Black, McDonald. Let the good times roll. Money B. You the man, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
We appreciate you. That's a great sentiment, man. Certainly do love you, man.
You know what he said? Get a brew on me. You know what first came to my mind with $20?
What?
Going to B-dubs after 9 o'clock at night.
We can get 2 meals.
You can get a burger, wings, and tots for $10.
It's a crazy deal they have here in India. It's a double meat cheeseburger. You can get 4 boneless wings, a thing of tater tots. It costs $10. How is that possible?
In the year of our Lord, 2025.
It's probably made of some Soylent Green garbage.
Oh,
but
come on.
Who knows? All right, now you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Cody Carpentier, at Alex Dunlap NFL. We're here every night from the Combine. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Tomorrow, once again, it'll be at 5 p.m. Central Time, and then we'll let you know tomorrow whether we're going back to 6 p.m. Central or whether we'll stick at 5 for the rest of the week. We're sorry to have to change it up on you, but we do have different events that we have to cover, so we appreciate you guys being a little bit generous with us this week as far as understanding. We're gonna bring you all the content, and but it just could be. We could be like an hour here of kind of time to play around.
I was going to say, I put the ticker up at the bottom, fwfemails@gmail.com. I've heard some people in the chat say, Alex doesn't check his emails. Well, guess what, guys? I'm here with Alex all week. So if you email, I'll force him to check those emails.
Yep.
We'll get those combine questions in, whatever you got, drop them.
For the 97% of you that watch later, if you want to interact with the show and you can't do it in the chat, that's the best way to do it. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you want to hear about here. And we cannot thank you guys enough. All right? Love you all, man. Like the show, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend, come back. All right? For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.